Hi guys, welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 1st of April 2021. I'm going to do a quick rundown on Bitcoin, Ether and CHSB. I'll do CHSB last. Just want to spend a little bit more time on that one. So we'll go over Bitcoin and Ether first. As always, guys, these are my thoughts and opinions, and obviously do your own research. Make sure that you have a solid game plan, for your trading and investing ideas. And obviously, what I do is just for educational purposes only. So with Bitcoin, everything's kind of planning out or panning out, as we're expecting. I've obviously gone through quite a lot of analysis on Bitcoin, and so far so good. We have this level up here that is, and I'm just going to say 100% getting traded to now, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to see 60,000 pretty soon. I'm not going to time it. I'm not going to say the next day or the next 5 hours or the next 2 days, but we're going to 60,000, and we will retest these highs. But 60,000, we're going to trade to. Right now, as you can see on the 4-hour chart, I discussed this, in yesterday's video. But you can see that since then we had a really nice move away from that level. So we had the first initial sort of reversal or negation, and then we've had a drive up as well, and then we're kind of stabilizing in this area. And what's interesting to note, and this is quite telling, you have this low that was created here and price came down and took it out just there, and then you have this low that was created and price took it out just there. Okay, but it's still stabilizing within this range here, this full range here. Forget the wicks for a second. This range right here, and I'll make a reference to it, like this. So this range, sort of here, we're kind of stabilizing in this range. It's quite efficient. It's just doing its thing. But we are getting those drops to take out. Anybody that's trying to go long, basically. That's the way that I like to look at it. People are going long up here and prices just dropping down and taking people out, because remember, not everybody buys the actual Bitcoin. There are people that are trading on brokers, where they're able to trade for £1 a point, £2 a point, $3, whatever, per tick that it moves, or per point, or per pip, or whatever you want to call it, per cent. And they trade it, sort of long, short, in, out, daily, sometimes weekly. And a lot of intraday, I know a lot of intraday traders that trade Bitcoin on a daily basis, and they don't actually buy the Bitcoin. So we have to be mindful that there are traders who will buy, and they'll put their stops here. So when price drops like this, it doesn't really care whether you bought the Bitcoin or not. That's going down to take anybody out who's just gone long. So you buy, put your stop below here, boom, you get stopped out, and it's like, oh man. So you're a little bit more cautious about getting in, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue for no reason, boom, prices up here and you're ripping your hair out, right? So all in all, just to kind of finish up on Bitcoin for now, before the weekend video, it's strong, and I believe it's going to remain strong. We've had a really nice pullback here, beautiful pickup of liquidity here, and then an explosive move to the upside, and some really nice grind on that last sort of third portion, and now it's just stabilizing in this area, showing no indication that it actually wants to go lower. So very strong. Ether was a great study, actually. I'm not invested in Ether personally, but it kind of sort of popped up by chance. I was just meandering around doing what I was doing yesterday, and right at the end of the video, I ended up looking at Ether, and it's turned out to be an absolutely phenomenal study. Now, if you remember, I was discussing this area, and again, please forgive me for sounding like I've got my head up my backside, but I did discuss this before it happened, and I made it very clear what I was expecting, what I wanted to see, and it effectively forecast to perfection what Ethereum was going to do. And I mention it because I've had private messages with people, asking me, and it was discussed in the chat as well, the wealth and trading channel on Discord over at Swissborg, that the markets are random, or do I believe that the markets are random? Actually, the question was asked me, and I don't. I never have. I believe the markets are heavily manipulated, and I believe, that they can be understood in a way that is applicable to, or consistent, in terms of trading or investing. And this proves that, and I'll continue to prove this as I continue to do these videos and educate people, and as we learn and grow together, in the Swissborg community, you're going to see this over and over and over again. The markets simply aren't random, and this, for me, solidifies that idea. I was discussing this area and I was saying when price gets up here, I'm not expecting a reversal, or anything. I'm expecting price to stabilize in this area, and then run straight for the previous highs. Yeah, which, let me take a look. So we've got a high here of 1974. We've got a high here of 1974.8, 1974.9. I mean, what I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's perfection, really. You're talking about 0.1 of a tick or whatever you want to call it. And again, I mean, look at the reversal here on this 4-hour candle. Does that look bearish? Does that look like it wants to go lower? No. I mean, I genuinely believe we're going to be seeing the 2000 level at some point very soon. So yeah, that was a phenomenal study, and I'm really glad that popped up. To illustrate a few things. Just take a look at the weekly, because I didn't actually look at the weekly properly. But look at this, man. Look at this strong week. That's explosive, man. That's explosive. This is very bullish. It's very bullish, and this is probably going to keep going for a little while. So for now, we'll continue to monitor Ether, obviously, but I'm really glad that this study presented itself, and that I was able to kind of go through it with you guys, just to illustrate some of the things that I'm really good at doing, but more importantly to show that this is something that is consistent, and anybody that learns to trade, or anybody that wants to invest, regardless of whatever method or methodology that you use to do that, has to understand, or I really want them to understand that this is possible. You can really make this work. So Swissborg, again, I was discussing the levels down there. Just go over to the daily chart, and you can see this area down here that I made a note of, and it's not just because it's at the $1 level. It's actually lines up perfectly, with the liquidity pool down here, and we've pretty much driven all the way back into this area now. I believe the low of today was 1013. So basically, I mean, we've pretty much hit every level that I expected to be hit on the way down. And cleared out the imbalance and hit the liquidity pool down here. Now, if you remember, I was saying, I did make a reference to this in one of the videos. I'm sure somebody can remind me in the chat. And I was saying this is the actual liquidity pool, but I took it off, and favored the line instead, because it was easier to represent what I wanted to represent in terms of that $1 level. But this is the actual liquidity pool. And again, I really want somebody to remind me of which video that was, because I don't want people thinking I'm just kind of putting this on the chart afterwards. I discussed this level before, and price has literally, drove into that level to perfection. Yeah, so I'm expecting now going forward a stabilizing in this area. I'm not seeing price much past $1. And to be honest, if we look at the daily chart, and we actually really look at the daily chart, this is very healthy for Swissborg, or CHSB. I'm going to say CHSB, so I'm separating the actual company and the token. So this is very bullish and very healthy for CHSB. So I would expect now that it's in this area, it's slowed down a little bit, it's fulfilled some objectives to the downside, it's scooped up some liquidity, it's filled some imbalances in, and so on, that we will start to see some upside now. How confident am I in this? I would say probably 80%. Confident that price is going to start to stabilize and turn at this point. It's the perfect spot to do that. May get a little bit more downside, but I'm not seeing that based on the actual flows on the hourly. I think for me, it makes more sense. Just look at this. It makes more sense, and I'll move this out of the way so I can see what's going on. It makes more sense from a liquidity standpoint and where the flows are, that price is going to reverse here and start to drive higher. The 115 level is the area that I want to see price kind of back above now, stabilize above that level. So we will make a note just here so we know what we're looking at. Okay, this is where I want to see price back above, and I'm just going to make that black so it's just in our face. So this is the area. Oh, sorry, this is the. Well, actually, we can take this off now, because that's already been traded to. I'll leave this liquidity pool down here because price. There's still a little bit left if price wants to dip down there and just kind of clear that out. But this is where I want to see price now. I want to see price back above this. On the way back up and on the 4 hour, there's not really much in terms of anything that could potentially stop this on the way back up now. Yeah, there's no brick walls, there's no areas of heavy supply, there's no areas of huge liquidity. So we've got a clean run all the way back up to sort of 135 to 140. Now, I want to be absolutely clear on what I've just said. I'm not saying that price is just going to reverse from here and just rip straight to 135, 140. That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is we've got an absolute clear run all the way up there, and there's nothing that's going to get in its way. Yeah. So if it starts to go, it's not going to have any problem getting up there. Yeah. None of this is going to cause an issue. And I'm very confident in what I'm saying right now. There is nothing here that is going to cause a problem. Yeah. In terms of preventing CHSB from going back up now if it wants to go back up. Whereas if you take a look at this area here, okay, so as price dropped very quickly and it started to run back up, as price dropped again just there, as it's dropping, there's an area that it leaves behind here that is a huge area of liquidity, a huge area of well, not a huge area of brick wall, but a brick wall. So when price goes back up, it's not always going to stop, but it's going to slow down as it starts to approach this area. Okay, and work off some of this liquidity, and you can see that happen just there, even though it was aggressive. And the reason I'm using this one is because it illustrates it was really going at this point. Just there, it was like exploding to the upside. It was really going, and it hit that brick wall and stopped. Now, it could have gone sideways a little bit and then continued going higher. I'm not saying it has to go lower in this example. I'm just saying there was a brick wall there and it did stop. When we look at where price is currently right now, and we go all the way back up to, well, there actually isn't. I'm going to use this level just here, okay, in terms of liquidity, and we'll make this a nice blue. So in terms of liquidity in an area where price, in fact, you know what, let's make that green. Sorry, guys. We'll just make it a nice green color. So in terms of liquidity on the way back up where price would want to drive to, this is the area where it is, above here. In terms of liquidity stopping price or any supply area stopping price or any resistance areas or anything like this, there is nothing on the way back up. So let's see how it pans out. Yeah, and I'll just move this over here so we know what we're looking for. Okay, so we want to see price roughly back above this level. So that'd be interesting to see as we go forward. So I'm going to leave the video at that, guys. I will be doing a weekend analysis video, so I'll kind of go over a few more pairs as well. I say pairs, it's like I'm talking about Forex. A few more currencies. I'll go through most of them, except for USDC and DAI. Obviously, they're pegged to the dollar, so that we're not going to see much on these other than this nonsense. So pointless going through those, but I'll go through the others. Maybe have a little bit of a chat about the euro maybe as well, because that's an interesting study. So yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I will catch up with you guys over the weekend in video, and obviously I'll speak to you guys in the chat as always. I hope everybody has an awesome weekend, and I will speak to you very soon. Take care.